Last month, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein got a limited release in theaters, but this weekend it's finally available on Netflix. So let's talk about it. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. What did you think about Frankenstein, and what's your favorite Guillermo del Toro movie? With that said, let's get started with the review. And to the surprise of no one, Frankenstein is a gorgeous looking film. Del Toro has always been someone that has had an eye for production design, gorgeous sets, coloring, lighting, framing, and as he tackles this iconic classic story, of course, you get all of that. I mean, right from the opening sequence of the movie, the use of colors where there's these really strong greens and these burning torches that are like this bright orange, it just looks really cool. And the whole movie kind of continues this beautiful aesthetic, of course, through the time period where it takes place. There's a sense of elegance that goes along with it, but then we head off to this tower and castle that has its own Gothic, creepy design to it. Everything just looks big and grand. And even when we're in a simple farmhouse, he finds a way to make that look like this beautiful piece of art in its own way. There's also some gnarly gore in here, in particular as the monster's being built, but even as certain attacks happen and certain injuries take place. There's just the nature of Frankenstein, the brutality of it, and just the mad scientist aspect of it has some real nice, just nasty gore to it that, filled with practical effects and stuff that just like had me squirming a lot. And of course, it is telling this classic Gothic horror tragedy. To be perfectly honest, I'm not actually all that familiar with the Frankenstein story. Of course, Frankenstein and the monster are all throughout popular culture, and in the superficial level, I'm aware of all of that, of course, but I've never read Mary Shelley's book and haven't really seen all that many of the previous versions either, so I can't really speak to its faithfulness to any source material or compare it to any other versions. All I can say is that here Guillermo del Toro tells this very sweeping, grand, Gothic horror tragedy of, depending on which tale is being told, you sympathize with each character and their own personal struggles and goals, and you quickly realize their own faults, and how, in particular with Frankenstein himself, how his choices so much lead to his downfall, that he is his own worst enemy and repeats so many of the mistakes of his father. Instead of learning, growing, and becoming the better father, he repeats them, except with a creature that it's incredibly dangerous to treat with the same brutality. But it finds a way to tell the story from two different perspectives, but doesn't repeat itself. Like normally when you do now tell my tale and you see the same events from a different perspective, this one doesn't do that. It allows you to just kind of infer in the backstory of the repeated section and tells its own side tale of when it kind of goes off. And so I appreciated the way it actually did the two different perspectives and the way that we followed them along this journey. Of course, because Guillermo del Toro is one of these top working directors today, he's able to attract the greatest talent. Even for like little small roles, you'll have someone show up that's this amazing actor with an incredible voice or just commands the screen for just a little bit of screen time. But of course, in the lead is Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, who, of course, is one of these top working actors today that can play charismatic, he can play creepy, and he can play tragic. And while playing someone that is making a lot of really bad choices that are very destructive, you buy into it at the same time. Christoph Waltz, of course, another one of these actors that is just so pleasant when he's on screen and can play these complex characters that have a charm to them, that you're rooting for them in many regards, and you can always tell that there's something else kind of going on, the conniving side behind everything happening in there. And of course, you got to talk about Jacob Elordi, who's kind of he's not quite a newcomer at this point in time. He's been around for several years, but he's the rising star that's in this movie as the creature, and brings so much humanity to quite literally what's a character described as the creature, and other places described as the monster. And there's so much just tragedy, just so much sadness to the character, because he doesn't know what he is, and he's rejected, and he doesn't know why. He's treated horribly, he doesn't know why. He doesn't know his place, and he can't, like, he's stuck, he can't die. He's just stuck in a world of brutality and loneliness. And it's just so gut-wrenching to follow his tale as this being that I guess none of us asked to be created, but this is a much more extreme version of none of us asked to be created, certainly not in the fashion that he was, the way that he was, and discarded the way that he is. Now, I will say, one of the reasons I haven't previously explored a bunch of Frankenstein is that this specific type of story, this time period, this type of even dialogue, conversations that's, I don't even know how you would exactly describe it, but kind of that poetic nature of the time period has never really interested me all that much. And so it's the kind of movie that can be like, wow, this is really well done. And man, I get it. It's also not the sort of thing that I would naturally gravitate back towards, or just inherently be like, man, let me just throw on Frankenstein again. It's just not really my specific kind of thing. Likewise, despite the movie being 2 hours and 20 minutes long, I mean, it's very long, it still felt at times like we were kind of rushing through certain plot points, that there's so much in there, and there's so many subplots and little dynamics and relationships and pieces of setup for this little thing here. It felt like we'd introduce something and we'd be kind of quickly moving on to the next little bit, and we'd moving at this very brisk pace for a movie that's taking a long time to get where it's going. And so I'm not quite sure exactly what that was, but it felt like maybe it was trying to tackle a little bit too much for the runtime that it was going for. And so I felt shortchanged at times, despite it being this very large story. But as I said before, and have repeatedly said, it's just a movie that is very well made, has such a distinct look and feel to it. It certainly breaks your heart multiple times all throughout the film. And there's the characters that, as you're wanting to root for them, but they make such terrible choices, or people are forced into these corners, and you're like, why are you doing this? And so it absolutely is able to pull out a vast set of emotions out of you. Gorgeous looking film, and a movie that might not be my exact cup of tea that I would go back to, but a film that is very well made for what it is going for. Overall, we'll go with the B+ on the entertainment scale, and 8 out of 10. And if you're into Guillermo del Toro, it's a must-watch, and it's on Netflix. You can watch it right now. If you're not super into Del Toro, it's worth checking out if you're interested in the trailer, because it is very well made. He is one of the best working directors today. Hey, thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.